How do y'all guess what time it is? It's about that time, isn't it? Mike! Hopefully you don't mind me having a welcome to the Darkside tailgate. I know that's kind of your catchphrase. I know. I'll try not to abuse it too much. But, you know, the dark side is also kind of Raiders-centric. Well, Skip, I'm going to sit out here for, what, an hour and a half? It's not really that I'm all bundled up. It's that I've had so many problems with my ears over the years that I don't take any chances. And actually, the headgear is kind of special. You will not find anywhere on here at all a single mark that says the price or who it was made by or anything. Oh, good thing, Mike. I know, that's because there's a lot of hoodlums that wear the Raiders gear. Yes, the hat is awesome, isn't it? It's whatever takes the focus away from my head. So real quick, because this is a my father kind of a tailgate, I am going to be smoking a my father. It's a La Bijou 1922. Yeah, see, so a lot of people get this kind of confused. Easiest way to tell if it's a La Bijou is look for the orange band. That orange ribbon on there pretty much guarantees that it's the La Bijou. I've never seen any of the orange ribbon on any other. Howdy, Greg. Great to see you, sir. The other easy way to find out if it is a specific cigar is look on the back for the barcode, and then right next to the barcode where it'll be in nice printed, and I say that because well, when you hold it up like this, if you're looking for it and you're trying to figure out if it's going to come into focus, which it almost never will, and I'm doing the best I can here, and it's still not coming into focus. You know what? Screw it. It's not going to come into focus. But yes, it does say La Bijou right here. Howdy, Chad. Great to see you, sir. Mike, not a problem. Lurk and listen all you want. You have to go pick up your daughter. Well, we can pretty much deal with that too. It is officially below 60 degrees all day today. And yesterday it was like 85 degrees. It is amazing how much colder 20 degrees feels between one day and the other. Not that it's cold, but the rapid change like that will tend to end up with me having an ear infection. That's the reason I'm wearing the thick stuff over the ears today, because I do what I can to avoid that. I know, maybe moving to warmer weather, except for the fact that then in August it's going to be too hot for me to handle too. Greg, definitely 20 degrees makes all the difference. And as somebody who rode motorcycles, as well as talking to people who still do, shattered my knee on one, you know, please remember that. But 80 degrees at 60 miles an hour is wonderful. 60 degrees at 60 miles an hour is bone chilling. Unless you put on at least some gloves and a jacket. Howdy, Dan. Great to see you. Great to see you. I believe that the temperature today, when I did a short little gift idea for pipe smokers and cigar smokers, it was 54 degrees. I was out in it, no problem. What I discussed this morning is this little bag made by, well, you probably won't be able to see it very well. Vertigo, there it goes, comes in nice and clear. Wow, go figure. This little bag is made to go on the Vertigo Cyclone and Cyclone 2 cigar lighter. But what it fits perfectly is a Zippo. So if you want to protect your Zippo and be able to put it in your pocket. Now this one's about 7 years old, so it is a little bit worn, but it's still in pretty damn good condition for 7 years worth. JBHDE, howdy sir. Ooh, 50 degrees and drizzling. Oh yeah, that's not motorcycle weather. That's sit around and forget about getting out on it weather. Drizzling is the part I hate worst about that. 50 degrees I can handle. The wind chill I can handle. The cold I can handle. It's the drizzle, because it's not raining hard enough to wash the oil off the road. So you get out there on a motorcycle, and sooner or later somebody's going to try and pull out right in front of you. You're going to be slamming on the brakes hard as you can go, and it won't stop for shit. It's like sliding on slick glass. It's not going to stop. That's what I hate most about drizzle. Woo! Well, JB, it doesn't rain, or your lack of precipitation in Arizona is a well-noted fact. I do have a cup of coffee. It's still a little warm for me, personally. So anyways, back to this this little baggie here. $10. Comes with a triple flame jet style lighter. Howdy, Steve and Miss Kathy, if you happen to be there as well. So glad to see both of you. And Huva Ilta, Boris. So, one thing Boris would like about something like this is it will keep your lighter from freezing solid on you. That little bit of extra makes it so it doesn't get too damn cold. Now, I know Boris will probably have a set of matches or a log fire that he will call down to the gods. And they will just magically light it because that's the way Boris rolls. But yes, the little baggie, if it was the $10 thing and I said it came with a free torch lighter that's decent, I'd be acceptant of that statement too. But yeah, you can get these any place that sells the Vertigo Cyclone or Cyclone 2 lighter. It's a cheap lighter. Let's not be serious and say, oh my God, it's so good. But I sold so many of them when I worked at a cigar shop. It was ridiculous. People come in all the time. Hey, I need 5 cigars, and oh, hey, do you got a lighter? Well, you know, it's only 5 cigars. Here, have this box of matches. No, I'm going to need a lighter. Okay. Cheapest one I got is $10 right here. And it came with a little bitty bag. And the little bitty bag was absolutely the best part of that lighter. But the lighter works pretty good, so it's just one of those things. Well, Boris, it's not really winter clothes. I'm just trying to keep the ears warm, really. That's really what it is. That, and I'm trying to not have sniffles. I mean, it's one thing to look like I'm... It's one thing to look like I am intolerant of the cold, but as Boris can attest, I will get out here in much colder than as it is right now. Sure, I'll be wearing a lot of clothes. But I'll still make it. And Chad, I agree with your statement there. If I have a lighter and it's $10 and it works just as well as a $100 lighter, what's the complaint? If after that lighter wears out or stops working or runs out of fuel or whatever, and I take the little bag that came free with it and I use it to protect my Zippo when I throw it down in a pocket or in a pile of change or anything else, that's just called good common sense. I figure it's one of those things. Almost anybody who's going to smoke a pipe and have a Zippo, that little case covering, you're going to enjoy it. And just in case you get real crazy, as I showed this morning, you take your check tool, you slip it down in there first, Take your Zippo, slide it down there on top. It'll come right back out. The Zippo will hold down on the tamper portion of the check tool and hold it in there. So it's not going to jiggle around, not going to get all loose. Everything stays nice and contained. And you're not looking for your stuff. Oh, it's $20 in Europe. I apologize. Yeah, my prices there are definitely Houston based from when I was selling the hell out of them. Quite honestly, I'll tell you, there's not a day that went by when I worked at that cigar shop that I didn't sell 3 of them. The fun thing was the company I worked for, they'd give me a small little chunk of that change back on my paycheck. Sure, it was like I got a nickel per lighter. But if you work 30 days and you sell 3 a day, it starts to add up. Chad, that's the other kind of vertigo, brother. Dan, don't worry about Facebook showing you Zippo ads. You just have to remind yourself that they're a damn good lighter for most real-world situations. Now, granted, you don't want to take them like above 42,000 feet, but I don't know too many people that are trying to smoke a pipe at 42,000 feet, mostly because you can't breathe at that height. There's just not enough oxygen in there for you to really stay conscious and try to smoke a pipe. But for the most part, you're pretty good. Boris, I'm going to agree with you about there being worse ads than a Zippo. There are much worse ads than Zippo. I got an ad the other day. I don't even know where it came from. But on YouTube, got an ad. And it was for some sort of erectile dysfunction, something or other, but it was a specific type. Don't get me wrong. If I ever had that, I'd be worried about it. But I sat there and I tried to figure out, where in the hell did this come from? And I'm just going to say, I finally narrowed it down to, there was a video where I was watching it, but the guy in the video speaks German. So I was having to use the closed captioning and have him switch it to English. But he said a phrase in German that sounds like that word in English, and so now I'm getting ads for some sort of something that I'm like, really? No interest, thanks. I'm still perfectly healthy at 47 and a half. And if I live up to the family genes, I will be perfectly healthy, at least in that regards, all the way up until the day I die. Great. And now Chad's typed in targeted ads, so I'm going to be getting ads from a certain store that looks like a bullseye. Though the crazy lady that they used to use that made all the cards sing a certain song, that was pretty funny. And as y'all already know, that would be rum tummy tummy rum tummy tummy rum tummy tummy ho ho ho. Or maybe some of y'all didn't know. Dan, not Cialis. I mean, I could understand if they were trying to say, look, you're 47. Viagra, Cialis, these other ones that work. No, it was for some other kind of erectile dysfunction. And I'm not going to mention what it was because I don't want to do that shit to y'all. But, like I said, in German, the guy said a phrase that sounded like the specific drug that is for the American ad for a certain dysfunction. It's awesome. Chris Garcia, howdy sir. Great to have you on board. But the only medication I'm taking currently is some stuff called Stonebreaker, which is not FDA approved for what it's supposed to be doing. But since I've been taking it, I haven't had a kidney stone that put me in the hospital. Chad, no. It was definitely not a Hans and Franz video. Well, Skip, the crazy part there is there was a native German speaking female and a native German speaking guy. And he was saying a German phrase with correct pronunciation and all the whatevers. The correct accent spots and everything. And she was specifically not listening to what he was saying, but how it sounded. And then there was this other girl that spoke English but not German. And they were trying to match, could the German understand what it sounds like to English people when they hear German phrases that sound very rough and violent and stuff like that. And, well, consequently, the little German girl actually could do that. She could do it quite well. Because she was like, yeah, that sounds like very mean, but what he said was, and she would state this is what he actually said. And it's like something innocent, but it sounds angry. So, anyways, it was just something I was watching because people say that I sound angry a lot, and I thought, hey, maybe that's what they're hearing. They're hearing an inflection that I'm not intending. Now, Chad's over there typing in all kind of German stuff. I betting he's cutting and pasting these things. He just typed in a damn good sentence and said translate it to German and poof, cut, paste. I don't read German. Food. If we could keep it to food, I can probably get along. But that's because Germany has the worst food. Woo! Hillbilly bomb. Those are always nice to get. I say that, but please, it's very, very difficult for me to be on the receiving end of somebody gifting me stuff. It's very hard on me that Mike has been so good to me. He's sent me stuff. I haven't sent him anything back yet, and part of that is because I'm broke like a joke. I'm not broke. I'm just not financially liquid enough to actually do anything about it. P.A. Piper, howdy, sir. Yes, sir, I am shaving. That is one of the things Mike sent me. Sent me a razor and all the stuff to take care of it. And we're kind of doing an experiment with my face as the proving grounds on whether Mike's system works. I must say, it's working pretty well. My psoriasis is way down, so either I'm sick with something and I don't know it, which I doubt, because I'm not running a fever, I'm not feeling achy or anything, so I'm pretty good there. Well, see, Boris, that's the problem with the statement worst food. W-U-R-S-T, as in Knockwurst and Bratwurst and the worst food. Come on, Skip. That is not correct. Piper said, howdy, sir. It's great to have y'all here. And we're not talking about guns or politics or nothing like that. That's awesome. Okay, I will state one thing about politics. And this is not going to be... at least I'm trying to make this as not offensive as possible. This comes from reading a small article. It's something that's not going to be extremely exaggeratedly talked about. There's a truck driver in New Jersey that spent $200 and ran for their state Senate presidency seat. I'm not sure exactly how that works. I didn't do 100% of the research on this. I just read the article 15 minutes ago, so I didn't really have time. Well, all right, let's call it 40 minutes ago. But just before I set this all up, and he spent $200 and outed the guy who has been a career politician. Ed Durr, yes. Somebody else has read this. Okay, I'm not the only one then. Ed Durr spent less than $200 and beat the incumbent, a career politician. And here's my political take on this. I believe that we, the people, as far as the United States goes, and so for those who are not of the United States, I apologize if this sounds like all for America. I mean, I am, but I grew up that way and I went into the army, and just saying. But we, the people, have finally gotten around to saying, you know what, career politicians, hit the road, get gone. Time to put somebody else in there that's actually going to do the job that we, the taxpayer, we, the people, are paying them to do, instead of, oh, you got in there spending millions, but a lot of that was, here it is, special interest group A, B, C, and D funded you all the way through, so now you owe them some deals. I see some light at the end of this tunnel, that maybe we've turned a different corner than what's expected, and we will pull ourselves out of this by voting career politicians to the curb, and possibly putting some real people in there that don't owe their livelihoods and their bank accounts to special interest groups. And then when they've had their time in for a couple of years, we can vote them out, because that's when they'll start being corrupted. Back to what this government was intended to be way back when a certain Constitution and Bill of Rights was scribbled into existence. You didn't see any of those politicians getting rich on being a politician. Some of them might have been rich. Okay, Piper said, here we go. What is the best cigar for first-time cigar smoking? Piper said, I will say, if it is truly your first time to smoke a cigar, I would suggest a Connecticut type cigar, which unfortunately excludes Padrones. They do have a Connecticut lineup called Damaso, but I wasn't really that much of a fan of it. I tried them, not much of a fan. But of the Connecticut's, if I had to be told right now that I could never smoke another cigar unless it was Connecticut, Southern Draw, Rose of Sharon, or Desert Rose, they're both Connecticut's. Same company makes them. Absolutely fantastic. Probably the best Connecticut on the market in the last 10 years. It is what I believe Maduro smokers would smoke if they were told they could never smoke another Maduro and had to smoke Connecticut's. The Camacho Connecticut, it comes in a not quite that orange. It's more yellow than that. That's at least the color of the band that you'll find. Those are really good Connecticut's. And there's a H. Upman Connecticut that came out. It's absolutely creamy, delicious. I'm not just saying that. But the Cohiba Connecticut, of course, the Cohiba Connecticut is pretty well high dollar, and I'm always leery of telling someone, here, spend $20 on a cigar, and you don't even know if you like cigars. If you knew you liked cigars, then we could explore into that range. But now, if you're a heavy burley and Perique type pipe smoker, you could easily go with a natural or a Maduro because you're used to the nicotine. But you're not going to get the same, that nicotine hit. Now, pipes and cigars, they don't actually taste anything alike. A great cigar doesn't really taste like pipe tobacco. but because the smoking of them is very similar, you don't inhale, you puff, let it roll around in your palate for a little bit and then blow out. So that's part of what I enjoy about both of them. Hopefully I've helped you out there, said. I am not trying to just monopolize on cigars. I'm going to go back here. PA Piper smokes Padrones. Yeah, great cigars. Love Padrones. Boris, I have no idea if they're going to actually do the job that they are supposed to do without being paid by somebody under the table. But it's a lot harder to hide that kind of payments when you don't have shit for cash to begin with. Career politicians walk into the office broke and walk out of the office millionaires and billionaires. And a lot of it they get because of their position gives them privy information so that they can make basically insider trades that are legal for them but not legal for us. Yeah. I am very good with the two-term statement also. Howdy Odie, great to see you there. Hopefully you're doing well. PA smokes Maduros, not a problem. Connecticut's are definitely mild, that is true. I'm trying to catch up. Steph probably has a heater on, yes. See, so I'm not the only person that's feeling like it's a little bit chilly today here in the Houston area. But due to the fact that I'm running a show, this is the closest thing I have to a heater kind of fire, and I'm not using that to toast my hands. Just not going to happen. Turns them crispy for some reason. Skip, you're trying to get that man hurt. Boris, it's only 55 degrees right now, or at least when I started this mess. It might have fallen off a little bit since. Steph, what do you mean simulating something or comparing things? I'm not sure where this question's coming from, so I'm not sure how I'm supposed to answer. I'll give you a full, honest answer, but I don't know. If you're asking, am I simulating it being cold? No, I'm simulating my ears being warm. They are quite toasty under this thing. And because of that, I'm not going to have an earache later, and I'm not going to be sitting there bleeding out of my ears or some sort of green ooze coming out of my ears later on. Ear infections. That's the only thing that ever gets me. Say similar. Similar. Of course, I say things with a Texas accent. We add extra R's where there are none. Bat trees. Those are those things that you put inside your little radio so that you can listen to it without having to plug it into the wall. Yes, it is 55 degrees in Houston, which is Very, very interesting. We normally don't hit 55 degrees until mid-December. Sometimes not even until January. The only reason it feels so cold, though, is because, like I said earlier, it was 85 degrees yesterday. The humidity's like at 100%. It's not going to rain, but the humidity's still very high. It feels so much colder than it actually is. But instead of being out in air, you're basically out splashing around in the kiddie pool. And that's just walking around. But I will say that I've been out here on this particular location in 16-degree weather. And at 16-degree weather, it's cold. I'm not going to lie about it. It was cold. Well, said, I thought about not showing off the jacket. It is such a nice jacket. But then, it's not going to hide anything. The other side of this, as far as like how will I look at that hat? Yes, just a second. I will look at that hat. It's a nice hat, isn't it? Don't look at the hair too much. That is a tutu rib knit hat. And it is absolutely windproof. And I knit it. Martin, it's an awesome hat. And, oh, Martin, that's the La Bijou. I was kind of inspired by a certain Stumbo from just the other day. He mentioned the La Bijou, and I was like, you know what? I haven't had one of those in a couple of weeks. I think I will. So I did. Well, if Pennsylvania can stay up in the 60s, that for them is like damn near summer weather. Just look at that knit. Are you looking? Are you looking? Nashville, hello. No, actually, JB, this is not wool. It is just a acrylic yarn. Quite honestly, I think I picked it up at Hobby Lobby. It's comfortable. Is it going to be called the best hat on the planet? No, but I guarantee nobody but me has one exactly like it. Because I only did this color one time. I thought it looked fun and it was relatively easy to do. By the way, Martin, how is yourself, the wife, the kids? Hopefully everything is starting to round corners and go back towards up there in Georgia. I mean, I felt so bad for you that I even cursed the Astros and watched a couple of games so that y'all would at least have something to cheer about. Other than the Bulldogs. Go Dogs! Roof! Yeah, I know. Steph, that black and white one is marvelous. Absolutely marvelous. And I like it a lot. But I didn't want to be so Raiders-centric that I had to run a certain skip on out of here screaming. I mean, if my team was the last in the AFC West, and I was watching the guy who is first in the AFC West, I don't think I'd be exactly enamored with wanting to stick around. Martin, just look, you start off with one of those ginger gummies, and then you douse the spider with some good hot sauce, and then you just chunk them in there and chew. Now, here's my problem with college football. Cincinnati, nobody wants to schedule Cincinnati ever because they're in a lower division. So they can't get games when they have a team because they had to schedule 2 years ago. And they, for no reason at all, go from second, including the coaches got together and said, yeah, they're the second best team in the nation right now, college speaking. And the committee says, we'll put them like 7th or 8th. So, does Cincinnati, even if they go perfect, get into the big dance? No, not a chance. They're keeping that as an SEC and some also ran. Because it's always going to be Alabama or Georgia or LSU. Maybe there might be a Texas A&M getting in there. And I hear Oklahoma and UT, that's the real UT for those people in Tennessee who their team is actually U10. Sorry, Willie. But it's true. So there will be UT and U10 in the same SEC in 3 years now? Even better, they're both orange and white, just slightly different orange and white. Oh, it's going to be fun. But yeah, it's going to be SEC and some other league in the national title. It will, you just go ahead and write this down as it is no longer the national title, it's the SEC title game against whoever they feel should be punished for doing as well as they did. At least that's the way it appears to be ever since they went to the playoff system. Well, okay, but Boris, the statement there should be, if you're not undefeated right now, you shouldn't even be mentioned in the college playoffs. I mean, you might have the best team, but y'all screwed up and lost. Alabama, talking to y'all. Chad, I believe you're correct, because at least then you have the conference champion of every conference available to actually play in the playoffs. I mean, you can't win the national title unless you're even in the playoffs. You could go perfect and you can't play in the playoffs. And it's been more than one time that this has happened. I believe, what is it? University of Central Florida had this happen to them not too long ago. Willie, I'm not going to disagree with your statement. I've always thought Whataburger orange and yellow, or orange and white, was a beautiful color. Especially when I'm hungry. So I'll give a quick story of how I got into trouble one time while at a Joe's Crab Shack somewhere in the Memphis area. Closing on 20 years ago. I guess it was 05. So yeah, closing on 20 years ago. I was in the Memphis area, and I was at a Joe Crab Shack eating at the bar. Now, Joe's Crab Shack was owned at the time by Landry's, which is a Houston-run company. Fertitta now owns all of that. Just have fun with that. He also owns the Rockets, in case y'all are wondering which Fertitta I'm talking about. So I'm sitting there in a Houston-like establishment, and some guy, because I'm in Memphis, I've never met this guy, he walks right up to where I'm at and says to the bartender, "Hey, can you put the UT game on?" And I said, "Hell yeah, man, I didn't even know Texas was playing." Yeah. And then he screwed up. He screwed up by saying, "You better show some respect. We sure pulled your ass out the fire on that Alamo thing." And I had already kind of like cringed because I realized I was in Tennessee. But UT is UT and U10 is U10. there was actually a legal court battle that decided that. It's been years ago now. So, saying that they had pulled our ass out the fire on that Alamo thing, I asked him, "Are you Mexican?" He's whiter than I am. And he looked at me with this blank look, and I said, "Because unless you're Mexican, everybody who was white at the Alamo died. So whose ass did you pull out of what fire at which Alamo?" He kind of turned and walked with a huff over to his 5 buddies. Realizing I was in trouble, I ordered a bucket of beer. A bucket of beer is 6 beers. I took my beer and a bucket of beer over to that table, and I said, "Now look, I'm from Texas. We can either sit here and drink beer and be friends, or we can let this guy get us all into a fight." Now, I would suggest we sit around and drink beer and be friends, or at least be cordial to one another. Because if it comes down to a fight, right now there are 6 of you, which in my Texas mind gives me reasonable theory that I should use lethal force right from the get-go. And, well, I was standing right behind the guy who asked for the UT game. And his buddies grabbed hold of him and said, "Sit down and shut up. You were trying to talk us into fighting that guy. Here he is bringing beer, and you're still trying to talk about fighting." I got his buddies to diffuse the situation by offering of beer. I'm not into fighting 6 guys. I wasn't back then. I am not now. I'm hoping to never have to do it. But like I said, funny story. My alligator mouth overloaded my hummingbird ass, and I was quick-footing it to try and get out of that problem. I think I did an admirable job. Of course, I also think that they thought about it and said, "Yeah, okay, 6-on-1, and he's already claiming from Texas. He might just decide to pull a gun and go to work." I didn't have a gun on me. I was at a bar. But I wasn't telling them that. Oh, Paul, that's horrible. Hopefully you are feeling better, sir. Boris, I agree with you on the European-style divisions might be a better fit for the NCAA because this committee bullshit that they're using right now is not working at all. At all, at all. Oh, Steve, yeah, that was probably pretty close. Another time that something like that happened to me was the first game of the season for the Astros and the Rangers. But I happened to be up in the Dallas area, and it was Yu Darvish for the Rangers, and he was having just a class day. It was right next to a no-hitter. I don't remember if it was a perfect game or not, but Marwin Gonzalez hit this little dribbler that just barely made it past the mound, and Marwin Gonzalez got on base, and I was like, yes! And everybody kind of looked at me like, boy, you're about to die. I was like, damn it. But I am a sports fan. Cliff, be careful, be well, And hey, here in about 30 minutes, if you feel like showing up for Mike's show, of course, that depends upon if he's done with his what's going on at his house at the time. I did make sure to have a nice, big, long, hefty cigar so that I have plenty of time. And I'm smoking it really slow. And I do mean really slow. What can Brown do for you might have just pulled up outside. I don't know. We'll find out. Well, I think I saw that Chad did a VR to Boca. And I believe Phil Rivera did a VR to Boca. And yeah, so there's been a few. There's been a few. By the way, laying it on thick there, Willie and John. Oh man, that was. I almost had to step in and let him tag me in. He looked like he was going down hard. Y'all were just whooping on him. Oh, Jose did one. That's right. I saw that one too. Howdy, Ron. Good to see you. Look, if I have missed anybody, do not feel I am trying to not see you or hear from you. Please go ahead and let me know that I've missed you. I apologize about such things. Sometimes I get really into what I'm talking about and forget to say hi. So, sorry about that. Well, Willie, I mean, I agree. He's got to pay for his transgressions. But good Lord. I started to feel bad for the guy there for a minute. Except for the fact that I know this is all just in fun, so... Don't worry, I will not be making a VR for why Charlie should be taking me fishing. The last time I went fishing in Florida was the last time I would go fishing in Florida. That was that time I hooked onto a blue marlin, fought the damn thing for about 8 hours, then it spit the hook. And the next day I was drinking beer through a straw because I couldn't lift my damn arms. And at that point, I decided, nope, not doing this ever again. And when I left that place that I was drinking beer at, I walked past a tattoo shop and I got a tattoo. Well, it's got to be fun for somebody and for friends. Oh, that's right. Steph and Skip are going to be headed north. And if I remember correctly, Eric, Road King Piper, is here in my area of town today. The Lone Star Motorcycle Rally is in town. I will not be heading south. Haven't had a motorcycle in a while. And, it's just not a good environment to be taking a full-size truck. Skip's going to Louisiana. That sounds like a lousy thing to do, Skip. Play on words, sorry. It's just a play on words. I've always enjoyed going to Louisiana myself. I've got several friends that live throughout the state in Louisiana. Hi, big country, just in case I didn't say it also. Oh, 16 people in chat. That's doing pretty good for me. Some of y'all can handle 30 people. I am not really good at that. Good Lord. All right, well, Skip, do not get in the water. Gumby suits don't do anything but entice things with lots of teeth and a excessively large medulla oblongata. I learned that from Colonel Sanders. What? It's the funny part in the movie. Well, I guess with all these people in here, and the rough given time of this, bowl call. What are you smoking and what are you smoking it in? I'm not going to do this as well as John does, but I will give it a shot. Today, my friends, I am smoking a My Father La Bijou. It's a hell of a good cigar. Stays lit, smokes well, tastes great. What more can you ask for? Paul the Piper is smoking 3 Ps in a LCS Magnum. Perique Piper Skip is smoking Crooner in Bing's favorite. Chad has Old Joe Krantz in a Boots Shoking, and I probably screwed that up. It's a butts chalking. There. I'm going to screw it up. I'm going to go full force Texan on that one. Woo! Boris is thinking about heading for his H.H. Bold, Kentucky next. By the way, Boris, I really liked that interview with you. Of course, I knew what you looked like previous from some Zoom meetings that we used to go to. I'm not hinting or nudging anybody towards that. I'm just saying I was able to put name, face, and voice with the person who was actually on the screen, and I knew it was you. Steve is smoking a Romeo y Julieta, 1875. Nice stick. I really like those sticks. Now, about 6 or 7 years ago, I really did not much care for them. the Romeo and Julieta line really just did not hit me right. But then my palate changed a little bit, and I was able to pick up some more of the nuances of that stick. And as I trained myself to actually be able to pick up those little subtle, the small flavors that you can't hardly tell are there unless you know what you're looking for. Yeah, those flavors. Once I could figure out what was in there and start really being able to place it, and then actually being able to dial it in further and say, okay, well, this is this area of Nicaragua, and oh, this is Honduran, and this is from various different other countries. That's when it started becoming a whole lot more interesting for me, and since then I really started liking them. Though not really of the Romeo y Julieta line. There's a line that's just Romeo. The Romeo 505, great stick, and it is as close to as you can presently get to the original Amazon Basin, made by CAO. That was absolutely fantastic. Ron just finished a bowl of Sutliff Match Sugar Barrel in a country gentleman. Thinking of going full Chad with the Haunted Bookshop. Ooh, come on. Pumpkin spice. No, that's not tobacco. That's millennial douche in a jar. Should be buried for 1,000 years like certain eggs from Korea. Boris, you're correct. The Romeo and Julieta number 2, but that's a Cuban, would be a very good basic cigar for a new cigar smoker. And so would the Hoyo de Monterrey Epicure number 2. Except for the fact that I'm not sure that a brand new cigar smoker is going to have the palate to understand how really good those two sticks are until they've tried to develop that palate for understanding cigars, at least for a little while. Paul, you are correct. People without a Miss Kathy pipe roll are definitely missing out. Ben, howdy sir, great to see you. And PA Piper is smoking Royal Yacht. Or for those of us who can't say that correctly, it'd be Royal Yatchet. Like hatchet with a Y. Had to put it in there. I'm just one of those uncouth Texas guys that doesn't know any better. Except for the fact that I do. Dry spot. Sometimes gets me on the my fathers. They do tend to smoke a little dry for me. Well, Paul, I'm going to tell you from experience. I know some people that have part wolf. I don't believe I know anybody who actually owns a full-blooded wolf. They tend to breed very smart, and very strong, and it's like crazy weird. You're not going to be able to own one because you can't lock them up in anything. They'll figure out a way to get out, and that could be a big serious problem, especially in your neck of the woods. Yeah, I remember that. Curly swallowing a cigar. Probably choke him out pretty good there for a while. Paul, I can't send you a wolf. There's no way I can send you a wolf. Even if I could, I don't believe that I would. Mostly because that would be wrong to do to a wolf. Taking a truly meant to be wild animal and trying to domesticate them, in my opinion, that's just kind of wrong. Paul, I would say that would probably be good right up until you met my mother-in-law. And then you'd be begging to go back to England. Queen's got nothing on her. She'd have you standing in detention for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week until you fell over dead. That's just because that's the only safe way to be around her. There's times I've been just talking to my wife in another room, and she'll go off on some wild tangent about how we're making too much noise. Because she's trying to watch a program. But Lord knows, if you're trying to watch something, she'll come in stomping around, making all kinds of noise. If you even mention that she's making a lot of noise, she'll go off on you because this is my house. I do every damn well. And she'll make 3 times as much noise as she already was. Mother-in-laws. Can't live with them, can't shoot them legally. Steve, I'm right there with you on wolves. Wolves are definitely a lot of trouble. They get into things. They are constantly getting into things. They're curious by nature. They always want to know what's on the other side of that fence. What's in that neighbor's backyard. What their kids taste like. How come those chickens are in the cage, and with them caged up I can't chase them, so how about I yank them out of there so I can chase them? And then yeah, farmers shoot them, and then there ends up being a big massive bad issue there. Dan, I'm fairly certain that you probably could have rode it fairly well if it was a full-fledged wolf. The last one I was around weighed in about 120 pounds. Its back was about where my belly button was. Big. Big. And quite literally, I watched it chew through a steel chain link fence because it didn't want to be inside that chain link. You would think that that thing was part honey badger because it just would chew anything. Did not matter. And like I said, strong. It'd get one little portion of a chain link fence pulled up from any one spot, and then it would just mutilate it until it had a big enough hole that it could go right through. Average dogs, that'll stop. That wolf side of that dog, nothing would stop it. But when it was out and about, it was just the nicest dog. Of course, if it snuck up on you in the middle of the night, it'd clip you at the back of the knees and drop you down, and then it would just growl at you and hover over you like it's going to eat you. Till its owner came out and called him off of you. So that property was not one of those that you snuck across in the middle of the dark. Unless that dog knew you. And that dog didn't think it knew anybody in the middle of the dark. Just better to not do it. Hey, as I've said before, I do not have my tablet out here because my tablet stopped working. It stopped updating, so it stopped receiving updates, and YouTube won't turn on. So I don't have my tablet anymore. When we do see Mike go live, if somebody can at least let me know so that we can all get over there to Mike's channel. Because this is tailgating. This is not me bogarting. Hey, Steph, sorry you missed it. There's some artwork on the cup. You can look for that at about the 1 hour and 22 minute mark. Hey, I just got a message from the wife. Let me know when you want to start MREs. What we call MREs. Our local place has some pre-packaged meals, basically. But they're really good. Very tasty. Easy to do. All you gotta do is get the oven heated to the right temperature, drop them in for the right amount of time, and then eat. I'll be having a jalapeno popper stuffed chicken breast with mushrooms today. So tasty. Boris, I would be willing to bet that that is a well-guarded warehouse. I mean, you hop the fence and you hear purr. And some leopards can and some can't. They say the cheetah is the largest cat that can purr. But I'm not going to say yay or nay on whether the leopard is bigger than the cheetah, but big enough leopard, well, it'll make a snack out of you pretty easy. Ben, I would be willing to bet that a pack of wolves would keep everybody out of the train yards. Not just the vandals, but the workers too. The problem would be, how do you keep them from leaving the train yard? P.A. Piper, I'm going to say that depends specifically upon the ground of which the polar bear and the grizzly bear tend to be fighting over. Grizzlies are actually a little bit larger than polar bears, but snow and ice, the polar bear has the clear advantage, and in the water. Grizzly bears will not actively go swimming in ice-cold water for elongated periods of time. Polar bears can be found miles offshore in ice water. Now, if it happens to be on greener pastures in the area where grizzlies are more prevalent, the polar bear's toast. Partly because, as Boris pointed out, polar bears will get easily overheated. And it takes a lot of energy to put down a grizzly bear. I mean, so if a grizzly bear goes too far north and gets into polar bear territory, it's doing everything it can just to not freeze. And if a polar bear goes too far south into a grizzly territory, it's doing everything it can just to get back to where it's cold enough so that it works. Well, the Kodiak and grizzly are basically the same bear. Kodiak being the largest, grizzly being like, what, 3 or 4 pounds total, slightly less heavy, and polar bear being third. But if it came down to a fight, it would really depend upon where they're fighting. On the North Pole, grizzlies toast. Just truth of the matter. But if you dropped a polar bear off in like the mountains of Montana, polar bear's toast. Black bear is not actually the biggest. It's actually smaller than polar bears. So it'd be 4th or 5th, depending upon whether black bear or brown bear is considered smaller. And I guess that would depend upon environment where it was raised. They really only get to a certain size, and that kind of depends upon how much food they get and how much weight they have to carry in fat just to stay warm, such as the polar bear. Yeah, biggest black bears are really 8, maybe 900 pounds. There's Kodiaks that have weighed at over 1,200. Grizzlies are in that area also, and polar bears 1,100, pretty solid. I would say probably koalas would do the panda in, because the panda is an endangered species and the koala isn't, or at least it's not as endangered. Steve, that is very true. And the one buffalo you don't want to mess with would be the white buffalo, because that would get Ted Nugent on your ass, and he'll just shoot you with a bow and arrow from extreme distances. He's actually really good with that damn bow and arrow. I'm willing to bet Chad probably liked the music reference there. Willie, that is correct. And kangaroos are mean as fuck. Ask Glenn sometime. He'll verify that. There are more ways that a kangaroo will kill you than you care to mention. Paul, arms and legs, brother. Arms and legs. They will put up a fight. Definitely true there, both to Willie and to Paul. And yes, Skip, the Nuge. Saw him in concert once. Right around the same time that he got in trouble with LULAC. And don't ask me exactly how to spell LULAC. It's an acronym anyways. But if it came down to a koala versus a panda, I believe that the koala will outbreed the panda and drive it from its own habitat by way of starvation. Thus, I believe that the koala would win. Even though it's smaller. They could technically live in the same area. Excuse me. And twice. Are you saying Mike's on? Well, if Mike's on, we're going to jump all over there. Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, it's been great fun. We are definitely going to have to do this again sometime. I've been having a blast with it. Y'all remember, take care of yourselves and each other. Do the best you can with that. And as per always, long lives, big bowls, and long ashes. See you over on Mike's channel here in just a minute. Bye for now.